will start by saying I'm not a member of Obama, Clinton, or Hillary campaign. I'm just the average citizen who's been following this campaign for months and months now. I've seen debates, interviews, meetings, back and forth between candidates. And I'll say Obama really opened my eye, along with CNN, to what's been happening in Washington as far as politicians and politics goes. For years and years that it wasn't really interested, or wasn't in my interest as it is right now. I'm amazed at some of the details I heard. And with that said, I'll get into my conclusion. There's a race issue that's against Obama. I wouldn't say 100% of whites and Hispanics are against Obama, but there are whites out there who will never vote for a black nominee. I believe there are racist superdelegates in the White House, and I believe that they're trying hard to keep Obama from winning. But because of the tension and the exposure, they can't really sound their voice as they would like to. It's real and it's true. There are areas where whites hate blacks, and there are areas where racism is pretty strong and pretty high. And that will never go away. It is a part of life. There will always be a negative and a positive. There will always be terrorists. Unfortunately, hate, terrorism, and negatives is a part of our world. And it actually balances our world. There are more people in power who would like to see Hillary win. Thanks to Obama, we now know about special interest groups and lobbyists. And after really using my common sense, I asked myself, why do they paint this image that Hillary is stronger as far as taking attacks and Obama can't? But I come to one conclusion with that issue. It's because most of these politicians are being funded by lobbyists. They actually either took money in the past or are still taking money from these groups. So they have an obligation where they can't just turn their backs on these lobbyists that they've been depending on for money. So they have no other option but to go against Obama. So let's use our common sense for 1 minute here, or a few minutes I'll say. Lobbyists and special interest groups in Washington represents most of the big companies out there. Now let's go back in time, or let's go back to when election was not as interested as it is right now. I believe most politicians who were running for president was funded by lobbyists. That means they would tell us what we wanted to hear. They will say all these nice things, but when elected, would do the opposite. Because they were dependent on lobbyists to fund them, so they had no other option but to give back to these special interest groups and lobbyists by agreeing to most of their laws, even though it wasn't for the American people. So picture this election without Obama. I would have never heard or never known about lobbyists, and I'm sure most of you wouldn't either. We would have 2 candidates, or maybe 3 candidates, who would have been funded by lobbyists and special interest groups. That means it would have never been the same as it is right now. It would have been the same old politics and race that we've experienced in the past. It will be nothing but promises and no deliverance. Because when elected, what would have happened? These elected candidates would have no option but to lean to the side of the people that fund them, which would have been the lobbyists and special interest groups. So with that said, I come up with one conclusion. The lobbyists and special interest groups do not want Obama to win. because they did not fund his campaign. And that means he's not obligated to them. I heard someone on CNN said that a superdelegate that endorsed Obama was sold out for pieces of silver. Well, most presidents and candidates from the past and up to this day have been bought out by special interest groups and lobbyists. So that statement is way out of touch and a few years behind time.